Car takes it. Hello everybody, welcome to our first live broadcast of the year here in the XTERRA World Cup. We're back at Oak Mountain, the race which has been in the XTERRA World Cup since the very beginning. It's stop 4 and round 6 today after we had round 5 yesterday in the full distance North America Championships yesterday. Today it's the short track, and once again, as I say, the first of our live broadcasts this year, which will be rolling us all the way through to the final round when we go back to Molveno in Trentino in Italy for the final time. Right now though, we're looking down on the Double Oak Lake, surrounded by the enormous Oak Mountain State Park in Pelham, Alabama, USA. I'm going to start our broadcast in a slightly somber way, just saying our thoughts are with everyone that's been involved in the horrific looking storms which have swept across the United States of America over the last 24 hours. There's been some pretty severe loss of life as well. Thankfully, the storm seems to have passed in Oak Mountain and we are ready to race. We were a little bit nervous about it, but anyway, let's roll back and look at where we've been so far. We started off in Australia in Dunsborough with new rounds, 2 of them in fact, and a round in Weston Park, another new one as well in the United Kingdom after we'd been to Greece. And here we are now for stop 4, rounds 5 and 6 in Oak Mountain, Alabama, back where we've been every single year since the start of that World Cup. Beyond that, we roll on to Czechia, once we've been to Quebec in Canada as well. 2 rounds, of course, in Prahatice, and then we roll towards the big finale in Molveno in Italy, but not until we've been to Germany, Zittau, for those European Championships. These were the scenes in a beautiful sunny Dunsborough Bay in Australia. Wonderful trails, the riders, the athletes reporting back to us, particularly about the running and riding trails there being particularly good. Elise Patier's starting out as she has gone on. She has won every single round of the World Cup so far, Elise Patier, and is in incredible form. She won both the short track and the full distance in Australia, and then we headed to Vouliagmeni in Greece. Once again, so strong from the very start, Elise Patier, and the same on the bike too. She seemed to have improved in every single aspect this year. She was the winner in Greece. We then moved on to the United Kingdom and Weston Park, a race which has been run for a number of years but has stepped up to World Cup level this year just for the full distance. And it was a cracking race. Beautiful scenes from Weston Park and the world's best coming to it. And of course, at the moment, the world's best park is her. Elise Patier taking the win again. 4 in a row, 4 World Cup rounds in a row after last year not winning any. And then yesterday, the full distance race in a muddy, wet Oak Mountain. She did it again, winning ahead of Annette Grabmüller, who crashed, it has to be said, and has injured her knee. They are the World Cup standings going into today and the short track race here. Elise Patier leading with a big lead, having won every single round. She gets 75 points, by the way, for the short track wins and 100 points for full distance wins. She is absolutely smashing it. Can she keep that going in the short track race here at Oak Mountain today? We will see. Well, you saw for yourselves the scenes of the mud and kind of murky conditions yesterday for the full distance race. Actually might be a little bit brighter today for the short track because the storm we've had this morning prior to starting, it's nearly 9 o'clock in the morning in Alabama, and I can tell you the storm has been raging. It's only recently cleared, and these are the scenes. Nice sunshine looking down over Oak Mountain State Park and the great oaks which surround the Double Oak Mountain and Double Oak Lake. We caught up with some of our interviews.
Yeah, I'm here for the 3 times here in Oak Mountain. It's very nice. The park is beautiful, it's huge, and we have a lot of of Twisty Turn in the bike and run course. So yeah, it's just amazing to be back there. My goal in Oak Mountain is always the same than the other races, just to be the best version of myself. So yeah, we just try to be focused on me and just surf on the good waves, be consistent, be focused, and yeah, I'm feel good, so we will see.
Yeah, it's the third time that I'm in Oak Mountain, and I really love the place. The forest is really, really nice, and the trails are really good. And I'm working a lot on my skills in these 3 years, so now I really like the track. So I'm happy to be here, and I think I can do a good race in this spot.
Hearing there from our leading athletes, Marta Mandito, the last of them there as well. Who can challenge Alice Patiès? Because honestly, not only has she been winning rounds, she's been winning them by massive margins as well. Nearly 5 minutes over Anna Zender in Vouliagmeni in Greece. 5-minute gap as well over Marta Mandito, we heard from there as well, in the full distance race in Australia. So not just dominating, but crushing the opposition as well. These are the weather conditions post-storm. 21 degrees the air temperature, as you can see, 89% humidity as well. The water temperature, we believe, somewhere just under 25 degrees C. That's 76.5 or thereabouts in Fahrenheit. And there is the swim entry point as well. Let me just give you the distances. They are, as they did last year, swimming a 400-metre swim, 7.5 kilometre mountain bike, and then the 3K final run. Let's have a look at that course, though, how it goes. It is effectively 200 metres out, 200 metres back from that lovely sandy beach. Then running into transition and starting the bike leg, which goes in the same direction as the run. The course is much unchanged from last year because we've got some beautiful trails in Oak Mountain State Park, and we certainly don't want them carving out any new trails just for this race because they're so good already. We always hear back from the athletes how much they love riding and running here specifically, and these trails are absolutely perfect. The higher one climbing up higher above the lake, the lower one on the way back getting closer to the lake, and the run course in a way follows a very similar layout. It is 2 laps of 1.5 kilometres, as you can see. Really short, and that trail that runs literally along the very edge of the lake, giving us those great shots looking at them from lakeside as well, to come back in through transition and to the finish. These are live pictures now we look at as our elite women are ready to get into the water for their deep water start. My name's Jez Cox, by the way. I do apologise. I didn't introduce myself right at the beginning as we see these rather steamy looking pictures. It's not just me with you. I'm pleased to say that once again this season and right the way through to those World Championships in Molveno, I am joined by Nicole Walters. Hi, Nicole.
Hi, Jez. Yeah, it's really great to see some racing today. I'm pleased that the weather's looking good, and I can't wait to see what the athletes have got in store for us.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first news we do need to make sure that people are aware of is Annette Grabmuller, who was starting the day in second place in the World Cup standings, is not starting.
Right,
looked like she had a pretty nasty knee injury from the full distance race yesterday.
Germany.
So we're going to get through the full lineup of athletes.
Hannah Lee
As you've just heard,
from
Loretta
Australia.
Earl. I'll let our announcer do this bit, I think.
Marta Bendito of Italy.
Moving down to third in the World Cup standings yesterday.
Of the Czech Republic. And in first place from France, Alice Patiès.
Alice Patiès, as yet unbeaten. And I have to say, Nicole, it is remarkable, isn't it? Last year she didn't win a single round of the World Cup, but was absolutely bang on with consistency. This year, yeah, she's been very consistent, but she has crushed this World Cup so far, winning every round.
She has. She'll have been disappointed not to have won the World Cup last year, although she was very consistent throughout her racing, and I think she had that World Cup leader as her target, and so she'd have really put her head down, got to work over the winter, worked out what she needed to do to be back at the front again, and she's smashed it. She's unbeatable this year.
Yeah. It is worth pointing out that the current 3-time world champion Solène Billouin is not here. She's been racing 70.3 today. this very day, in actual fact, Solène Billouin. I'll come back to that in a little bit while we watch the start of our elite women's race. I'll remind you, 400-metre swim, and it will be very quick. If you've not watched the short track racing here in the XTERRA Elite races, I can tell you it is really quick. But it will be quite different, Nicole, I guess, from last year's race here, where the trails were dusty and dry. We could be seeing quite a lot of, well, even more mud than we had yesterday, because they had extremely heavy rainfall this morning.
They have. The trails are going to be wet, they're going to be slippy. I imagine some of the athletes might have had issues with their bikes yesterday as a result of those conditions. So it'll be interesting to see who's managed to sort things out and turn it around for the race now.
Yes, indeed. Just getting a look at that start again. Starting up to about just beyond knee height as well. It deepens pretty quickly, this lake. It is a massive ancient lake as well, so thankfully not too cold either. No wetsuits being used. I should have mentioned that right at the beginning, but no wetsuits. And this swim will be over pretty quickly. We'll be looking through the murk and mist of the kind of post-storm haze as we look for the colours of swim hats. Normally, in an XTERRA Elite race like this, Nicole, we'd be talking about looking for Annette Grabmüller at this stage, because she's been far and away the best elite women's swimmer in recent years, but she has not taken the start. She's very sensibly decided to rest and let those stitches she had in her knee take effect, I guess, and come back stronger. Not least because in two rounds' time, we're going to Prahatica, which is where she's from. She will want to, I'm sure, try and see if she can get a win there in between the full distance and the short track as well. But it is a shame not to have her in this race, because she's looked like she started the season really well.
It is, yeah, and she's a strong athlete over the short track. I think she's been waiting for a win in this race, and I think it's coming for her. So yeah, it's a shame not to see her race, but fingers crossed for speedy recovery, and she'll be back for the next one. But looking to the front of this race now, I think we'll see Emma de Croo out the front, another fast swimmer. I think that's her in the red cap that we can see out the front. I'm not sure who's on her toes, possibly Susie Snyder.
Yes, Susie Snyder, the veteran American athlete from Colorado, who's made this race over its last few editions a real firm favourite of hers. Doesn't race many of the other World Cup rounds, but always performs well here, and she will be a feature for sure. I'm guessing, Nicole, the wetter conditions will just go and make the bike course even more technical, particularly because, as we know, there's a few bridge crossings and wooden sectors with slatted wood on them on this course, and that could make it really testing.
It could, and I wonder if the athletes have prepared their bikes accordingly for it. Perhaps they've changed the tyres to some ones that are better in the wet conditions. We'll wait to see when they get onto the bike, but we've got another lap of the swim to go here, and I've just seen Elise right up the front, so really good swim from her.
Yeah, you're right, it was Emma de Croo leading. So two French athletes out in the front, and one of the breakthrough athletes of this season, Romy Spolder, the Dutch woman, in third at the moment. So she's swimming well as well, and she was particularly good yesterday as well. She was, hang on a minute, where have I gone from? She's in 6th place in the World Cup after, let me start that again. She was 3rd yesterday and 7th in the World Cup. So on the podium, Romy Spolder yesterday. Definitely one of those new names this season, the young Dutch woman. She'll be exciting to watch in this.
Yeah, so a really great race from her yesterday, and I think we're perhaps not going to see these athletes split up too much until they're out onto the bikes. There's a really close swim pack there.
Yes, indeed. So once more out and back again. It is de Croo, Emma de Croo from Bézanne in France, who is leading. She didn't go to Australia for the opening 2 rounds of this World Cup, but she picked it up in Greece in Vouliagmeni, where she was 8th. She's improved steadily, though, because she was 4th yesterday, which is her best World Cup result of the season. Just to say, by the way, this race last year, I mentioned the 3-time and current world champion, Solène Billouin. She was here in Oak Mountain last year and won the short track race as well, ahead of Annette Grabmüller. So that's 2 athletes from last year that aren't here now, although I suspect, knowing what Annette Grabmüller is like, she loves XTERRA. She's probably watching, but not racing. So the best returner from last year's result in the women's elite short track race here was, yes, you guessed it, Alizé Patiès, the French woman. And she is, as I say, well, I don't like to put pressure on anyone, Nicole, but if she doesn't win this, it would be a major disappointment, bearing in mind she's won everything so far. I think that's probably fair pressure to apply.
Yeah, it's a lot of pressure, but I think she's got it under control, hasn't she? She's done it many times so far this season. I think she'll be ready for today. I think the probably challenger would come from Marta Mendito. I think she'll probably have a good race today as well. I'm not too sure where she came in last year's short track, but I imagine she'll have been fairly near the top. And she's having a good season so far as well.
Indeed. She was fourth last year in this race, Marta Mendito. And it's just worth pointing out, folks, the reason she's dropped down one place on the World Cup standing is because she received a DSQ, a disqualification yesterday in the full distance race here at Oak Mountain, due to a racing incident which is still under investigation as this race is ongoing. So perhaps a little bit of extra motivation for her today as she swims near the front end of this field, but it does look like that red swim cap and then the pink swim cap, sorry, that should be the gold swim cap, isn't it? The gold swim cap is always worn by our World Cup leader. That is Alizé Patiès in that leading group of 3. And Romy Spalder there too, in the pink cap alongside her. So that's the swim over and done with for our leading 3 athletes as they go out. Alizé Patiès looking very good as she tracks Emma de Croo, Romy Spalder, and you're right, that is Susie Snyder out there in the, I think it was white cap or blue cap. I may be wrong. It's a little bit murky, these pictures, as they exit the water.
Yeah, white cap for Susie Snyder today.
There we go. That's Marta Mendito exiting in 4th. I'll remind people that's the position she finished in. There is Susie Snyder in the white cap as well. And that was Hannah Lee Young, the Australian athlete, currently in 4th place in the World Cup. There's another athlete who's made a big step up over the winter, isn't it? Hannah Lee Young's been really good at the start of the season.
Done some great racing at the start of this season. Still fairly new to the XTERRA racing, but no, she's having a great start.
So Alizé Patiès looking like she's had the quickest transition too. So if she's been working on every aspect of her XTERRA triathlon, then that's included the transition zone as well. I make it, yes, she's first out of the fantastic basketball court transition zone that we have there. There's the mount line just onto the grass. And Romy Spalder also has overlapped with Emma de Croo. So 2 French women with a Dutch woman, young Dutch woman, Romy Spalder in the middle as well. Can they form some kind of pack on this bike course? I'd have thought in these slippery conditions, maybe pack riding might not be so much fun, Nicole, what with the spray, but also needing to see what's directly in front of you on these tricky trails.
No, I mean, Alizé is incredibly good on the technical aspects of mountain biking, and I wouldn't be surprised now if we see her just ride off from everybody. She's not going to be hanging around waiting for a group, and I say it'd be very tricky for a group to try and catch her. So she's fantastic with her skills, and in these sorts of conditions, I imagine she'll be having a great time out there.
There's nearly the top 10. Susie Snyder out of transition in 9th. Hannah Lee Young also just losing a place to Loretta Earl there, the German athlete. Katie Button, the Canadian athlete, also up there in the top 5 by the looks of it. A little bit of road section, bit of gravel, and then back onto that tacky mud again. And it is tacky mud on these trails. Thankfully, the trails themselves are protected by really big ancient trees, many of them oak trees, but just because it's Oak Mountain doesn't mean they're all oak trees. There's a good mix of all sorts of different trees in this enormous park, which was established way back in 1927. Nearly 12,000 acres makes it Alabama's largest state park. We are following Alizé Patiès, the world's #1 XTERRA athlete this year. In actual fact, I think we can safely say the world's best XTERRA athlete, because in the men's side, and don't forget the men's elite race comes up after this, no one has been as consistent as her. She has been absolutely smashing this. My only hope for her, I have to say, Nicole, is that when perhaps the likes of Solène Billouin, Anna Zender, who else might be coming back that they need to worry about? A couple of others.
She has already raced these athletes this season and come out on top. So,
yeah.
And she's making light work of these slippery conditions here now.
She is. No, I'm always just looking for a little bit of jeopardy. Not that I wish jeopardy on anyone. Here's one of the new jumps. I don't remember it being as big as that last year. That's quite a drop. I think that's got bigger, if anything. Nice. And that'll test.
Yeah, it looks like there's a nice entry into that jump then. I was just about to say that it'd be the landing that'd be the tricky bit, a bit slidey and some roots on it, but they're making light work of that jump.
Absolutely. And these are features of our bike course. Basically, in each of these 3 laps, they're climbing up and away from the lake, as you might expect, up into the forest, and then they then start the descent back down as well. Being a lake round of XTERRA, I always think of this round as being a slightly smaller version of Molveno. Obviously at Molveno they do a much bigger loop up into for the full distance race anyway, up into the forest. And here, as is the way with short track racing, we keep it very, very close to the lake. Of course, for the final round in Molveno, it's exactly the same. We keep it all within sight of the lake. Here we'd be able to see the lake were it not for the fantastic trees. That's our leading group. Won't be too long before they're descending back down again. I'll remind people it's only 3 laps, this bike course.
You got this. Come on, you're going well.
3 laps of a 2.5 kilometre course. Alice Patier, Romy
super
Spalder,
short,
and Emma
fast
de Croo.
racing.
Yeah, I mean, who of these athletes do you think this favours more? We had this conversation, I think, last year, Nicole, about the difference between, and there is quite a significant difference. This is the first of that wooden slatted stuff. Let's see how slippery it is. I don't like the exit to that, by the way, because you're turning just as you come off it. That's going to be precarious. Sorry, Nicole, I've just spotted that. Ooh.
Yeah, it's often not the features that catch you out, it's the transfer between different surfaces. So even going from a section of woodland across a road, that'll be the bit to catch you out rather than the big jump in the woods. But it's that dragging the mud out onto the road and then almost dropping your guard down a little bit, thinking, oh, it's okay, I can relax a little bit now. But no, it's always the easy bits that get you.
Yeah, indeed. Now that is Alice Patier's on her way back down again now, across that fairly safe-looking flat bridge there as well. She's got a road transition, another little climb as well to bring her back. Just hear the voice of the announcer at the finish there as well, bring her back in the direction of the lake.
And I think she's already put a big gap in over this next pack of athletes.
Yeah, so now Marta Mendito, Emma de Croo and Romy Spalder looking like they're working together, and certainly what you've predicted, Nicole, looks like it's happening. There aren't many weaknesses, if any weaknesses, this year for Alice Patier.
And she is so technically good on a bike that this course will just be having so much fun on it.
Yeah, and it actually, I can't believe the pictures we're seeing. It looks like a nice warm day. From what we were hearing about the storm this morning, it was literally a case of hold everything down and hope. I mean, you see the standing water there. You can see how much it's rained this morning and overnight and during the day yesterday too. But actually, we are unbelievably lucky, or as the English say, jammy today, because it actually looks nice and sunny. Perfect racing conditions, really. Well, that gap is growing. It is growing all the time. And if anything, you can see now how she has managed to open up such big gaps this season. Alice Patier, she had 5 minutes over Marta Mendito in the full distance race in Australia. I should just point out, we've only had one short track race so far in this World Cup, and that was round 1, the Asia Pacific champs in Dunsborough, Australia. It was, of course, Alice Patier winning there. But as you pointed out, Nicole, she beat the 3-time and current world champion Solène Billouin by a minute there too. So maybe I'm wrong to be saying what's going to happen when Meyerhofer and Billouin are back at it. Or Loane Duvoisin was the other athlete I was thinking would come back and challenge her. But I think by the looks of it so far, she is more than up to it.
Yeah, definitely. She's storming ahead right now, and she's had a phenomenal start to the season. Halfway through, and she's making this look easy now, isn't she?
Yeah, she is. She is 3 laps on this bike course. She is, as you can see there, as she passes transition, heading out for her second lap of 3, well into her rhythm. What I haven't looked down and seen
these
this year...
athletes have also raced yesterday.
Yeah. Now, yeah, we do it in different ways, don't we? Because in Australia, they went short track first on the Saturday and then full distance on the Sunday. Which way around would you want it, Nicole? And do you think it'd be different for different athletes? Or if you were racing, what would you prefer?
I imagine the athlete. I mean, I would say the athletes that are better at the short track would prefer the short track first, versus the ones at your standard distance would prefer the standard first. But actually, Elise is dominating everything at the moment, so I wonder if it actually makes a difference to them.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess there's you can flick it both ways, couldn't you? You could say that if you're sore and tired from the day before, at least it's over and done with quickly. Or you could say, well, if you're sore and tired, at least you can pace things out the next day over a longer distance. I guess it's as much physical as it is mental, that overcoming of what you've done the day before.
I mean, sometimes if there's a little gap, so short track Thursday, main race Saturday, the athletes will use it as a pre-race sort of getting them into the zone for the big race on the weekend. So they use it to wake the legs up and get ready for the big one. Because there are more points available for the standard distance race, so it potentially carries more weighting and more importance.
Absolutely. There's the gaps at the top left there, as we can see. Now 25 seconds to Mendito. Romy Spalder still with her. 2-second gap between the two of them. There's Emma De Croo coming through our shot as well. She's 30 seconds down. Katie Button nearly a minute down. Loretta Earle already in 6th place. 1:25 down on this woman as she continues to power up this rise. She's close to halfway through this bike leg now, but still has a little look round while she's on top of this little mound here as well. Elise Patier down the drop, and our drone, I think it is, following her down there. Yes, actually seeing it from that shot, it is definitely higher than we've had in previous years, Nicole. I like it.
Yeah, it's a nice feature to have.
And we're just watching
that's quite the lead
drop
that she's got.
It is. Now, who's going to be first over it? Do you know what? I think that was Mendito, actually. Or was that Romy Spalder? Very quick through the shot and just missed it.
So I think Romy Spalder and Marta Mendito were both sort of leading that charge behind Elise.
There's Emma De Croo going through, the French athlete. She is on the back of that Mendito Spalder 2 up. And meanwhile, out front, Elise Patiers can, I think, stop looking over her shoulder and just get on with it. It won't be too long before she's descending back down to the basketball court again, past transition, and heading out onto her 3rd and final lap. These laps, as I say, 2.5 kilometres. And that's Katie Button, the Canadian, 40-year-old, lots of experience, and she also is now riding by herself there with a bit of clear space around her. Back onto those slats for our leader. This will give us a good timing point here as well to see exactly what it's like. We're looking back through the forest, but there's going to be a lot of clear air between her, Mendito, and dare I say it, I never like to see anyone miss any rounds, because I remind people at home, every round counts in the XTERRA World Cup. Every single round counts. So if you miss one for whatever reason, that really affects your overall ranking. And Marta Mendito, having been a non-scorer yesterday, and Annette Grabmuller now having to sit out today, means that we could well see 2nd and 3rd places moving. Hannah Lee Young, I'll remind people, is currently riding in 7th place. And she's 4th place in those World Cup standings. She could do with a really strong result here to see if she can move up again, particularly in the absence of Annette Grabmuller. Do you know what's lovely to hear, Nicole? We've got all of our microphones in the right places down there in Oak Mountain State Park, because I can hear the birds singing. It's a lovely place to be, isn't it?
Yeah, it looks like a really great location for the racing over this weekend, and it looks like a really great course for the athletes to race on today. Testing, but still enough that they can sort of really put the power down, really race hard. And looking at some sections of the course, it looks like it's drying up a little bit, but seeing that shot just then, I'm not so sure.
Yeah, some bits seem to be hot. I honestly think it's to do with the thickness of tree growth as well. The big puddles tend to be in the fire road sections in between all of this. Great drone shots following our leaders. I'm glad in a way that the weather has calmed down, because actually if it had been any worse, we wouldn't have been able to get those drones up. So well done to our team at Piper Vision, who've managed to get everything linked together. There goes the drone again. She will have a drone above her and around her pretty much all the time in this forest. Easy to pick out.
Yeah, the drone shots that we get are amazing. It's really great to be able to follow the athletes, and you really get in on that racing.
So pretty soon we'll be seeing the shot overlooking the basketball courts, and transition again for this woman, Alice Patiers. Actually, sorry, we're looking at Marta Mendito going through shot. Apologies. Yeah. Now she's by herself at the moment, Mendito. So she's managed to get away from Romy Spalder and Emma De Croo. They're of course racing in the same kit, that orange and black kit.
Yeah, Marta will be wanting to put in a good race today and make up some points that she wouldn't have had from yesterday's race.
Patiers here.
It is quite close at the top of those standings.
It is.
So we've got Elise a long way ahead, but beyond that, it's all to play for. I think those top sort of 5 positions.
So she's got 1 lap to go now. A final 2.5 kilometres to go on this mountain bike leg here in Oak Mountain State Park. Winner of every round so far, and looking good to do that here. But she's got to, just like everyone does in this field of elite athletes, she's got to string everything together and have no issues. This is Mendito, her teammate, but her challenger at this stage. Mendito looking to try and get maximum points for herself out of that second place at least. I'll remind people it's 75 points for the win in the short track racing. So a little bit less than in the full distance yesterday. And this is that race for 3rd place at the moment. Emma De Croo and...
they do look like they've got quite muddy out there.
They do, don't they?
And Emma De Croo.
There you go. Romy Spalder and Emma De Croo battling for 3rd place at the moment. De Croo hanging on. It tends to look for most of this bike leg now that Spalder is leading, the young Dutch athlete. Athlete from Almere in the Netherlands, which has got a long history of long-distance triathlon racing. The region, I mean, rather than her. She's still evolving at an XTERRA Elite as well, but really exciting this year. There's one of those squishy puddles that we've just seen Alice Patiers squish through and out the other side, and then immediately onto what would normally be quite sandy trails. Following now our leader up on the main climb, and it's when you see it from this angle, it is a beast, this climb. And this is where I guess the sort of slippage, you can't really get out of the saddle today. We've seen them out of the saddle and ripping up this before. I've got a feeling today in both the elite women and men's races, Nicole, that it's going to be a sitting down climb, that one.
It is, yeah. They're going to need to get the weight a little bit further back over to that back wheel to make sure that they don't lose grip and they don't just start spinning trying to get up that climb, because it does look really steep. It's hard to tell all the time from some of the camera angles, but say that drone shot does really show you quite how steep it is.
Yeah, particularly as it gets a little bit lower. Back onto the drop again. This is our static camera looking through the woods at where they climb up a little bit earlier in the course and then roll into the drop here. Getting the weight back over the back of the bike. We saw a few athletes, even in our elite races and certainly in the age group races. I can remember from the drop, we had a similar drop to that, didn't we, at the World Championships at the end of last year in Trentino in the Italian Dolomites, and we saw a few athletes get that wrong. What's the technique there, Nicole? Because you'll have ridden these kind of drops in XTERRA and cross tri plenty of times. What can go wrong, and how do you get it right?
I mean, this looks like quite a, I don't want to say an easy drop, but in terms of setting up for it, it's a nice straight approach. You want to just kind of let the bike roll, shift your weight backwards a little bit, landing sort of both wheels fairly evenly at the same time on the ground. But I say that this jump does look quite a nice jump. Say straight entry, straight exit, and you definitely don't want to be touching your brakes on the approach into it though.
Got this. Push on through. Push on through. Push on through.
There's the encouragement for Alizé Patiès out front. She's across that slatted bridge for the final time. No jeopardy there, despite the fact that I'd not been looking for it, but I just mentioned it in case. It seems to have been
it does
drying
look quite
out,
slippy there, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's just the fact that you're turning off it at the end, and sometimes some of these boardwalks at fantastic trail venues just like this will have a bit of what I call chicken wire across them. Do you know what I mean? Just that meshed wire across it, but it looks natural. That, thankfully, by the looks of it, still fairly grippy. This is Mendito, to say, in the same kit as her trade teammates and our leader, Alizé Patiès, but much more compact athlete, shorter. And look at the gap behind her now. And it still looks like a roundabout. We'll wait to see the timing pop up on the screen again, but it still looks like around about a minute or so between Patiès and Mendito.
Alizé will be coming into that transition soon.
Yeah, indeed. Her winning margin yesterday, Patiès, over Annette Grabmüller in the end was, well, again, 4 minutes. It's a similar kind of pattern all season. That was the standard distance race, so she completed her race yesterday in 2 hours and 48 minutes. So it goes to show what the effort was she'd put in yesterday ahead of doing this very, very short track race here today. 2 hours and, well, let's call it 2 hours and 50 minutes of racing, but a 4-minute lead over Annette Grabmüller. And it is a real shame that Grabmüller crashed yesterday. Grabmüller still finished second, but was injured enough to have stitches in that knee. And I say that because, as we saw here last year, Annette Grabmüller goes very well on these kind of steep climbs. She's a good punchy climber on the bike. And of course, we would have expected her to be in the lead after the swim, if not with maybe a little gap, actually.
Yeah, Netta's very strong on the bike and she uses that swim to an advantage. So I think it's like Alizé would have been chasing that first part of the bike to try and close that gap. So we're not seeing that today. We've got Alizé a long way out the front, riding as expected.
Yes, indeed. Very much so. Those two are still together as we look up through the forest. At some point, we're going to probably expect to see some daylight between Emma de Croo and Romy Spulder, but not yet. It might have to come on the run, in fact. And the run will be equally as slippery as well, I guess. I wonder whether any of the athletes have changed shoes. I mean, the dedicated XTERRA pros here will probably be opting for a fairly slightly knobbly trail shoe anyway, wouldn't they, Nicole? What would you have done on a day like this?
Yeah, I tended to race in a lightweight trail shoe. So if it was wet conditions, the grip would be sufficient, but also it's not really going to slow me down if the trails are dry. I imagine the athletes will be running something similar. So a shoe that they're happy with, that they're confident that will see them through most things. I wouldn't have thought they'd have anything, I guess, more aggressive than just a lightweight trail shoe.
Here she is into transition. Alizé Patiès faultless again so far today, pulling on those elasticated, laced, fairly flat-looking shoes there. Actually, they don't look like particularly gnarly trail shoes. They look more like road shoes, I'd have said.
Yeah, so only once have I done laces up properly, and that was because we were taken through a bog, and I still ended up losing my shoes. So.
Yes, yeah.
I think I ended up taking both shoes off and just running with them.
Yes, I have to say, I've done that too. In fact, I can remember a cross duathlon where I was chasing none other than your other half, Doug, and I did the same thing, but I ran through a bog and lost both shoes, one of which I'm not even sure I found it. It was near the finish. I just carried on. So Mendito is out. No such problems for her. That's not an enormous gap. Let's have a look how she goes
she's
out.
She's had a very fast transition there.
33. Now, this could be interesting because we know how well Mendito runs on these kind of ups and downs too. We might yet have a little battle on our hands, particularly if Paties isn't aware of that, because she might go into cruise mode here. One thing that Marta Mendito will not do, of all the athletes in this field, she will not be cruising. I think she's out to prove a point today with this this position. 33 seconds is closable if she's got the run form.
Yeah, it's only a 3 kilometre run, isn't it? So it's not loads of distance to run that ground back, and Elise's not going to be hanging around. But still, it's 10 seconds per kilometre. Yeah, it's definitely doable.
Yeah, it's the old trick of us trying to read into their run form, see what sort of impetus he has there. Look for people who might be going out of transition a little bit cautiously. Emma de Croo might be one of them, actually. She's already lost a little bit of a gap to Romy Spulder, who's been running well this season, the Dutch woman. Hey, Nicole, in a sport which has, with no denying it, in recent years, elite XTERRA racing has been dominated by the French. Yes, we're seeing it dominated by a French woman here again today, Alizé Paties. But look at that top 5 at the moment as we look at Susie Snyder coming in, an American. So we've got a French woman leading, then Marta Mendito, Italian, Romy Spulder, Dutch, another French woman, Emma de Croo. Then we have Susie Snyder, the American. It is nice to see how multinational this top end of the field is, isn't it?
Yeah, lots of nationalities represented here today, and all super strong athletes putting on a really good show for us.
This is us following Alizé Paties here in our live feed. Wherever you're watching around the world, thank you for joining us. My name's Jez Cox. I have Nicole Walters with me. Nicole herself, a former European cross-tri champion and a silver and bronze medalist at ITU Cross Triathlon Worlds as well, so she knows very much what she's talking about. And here we are watching the elite race, and here we are watching the best elite XTERRA athlete in the world at the moment, France's Alizé Paties, who is currently leading again in this, the short track. Only the second short track World Cup of the year so far, to go with the first one all the way back in early March, or sorry, mid-March it was, wasn't it, in Dunsborough in Australia to start our season off. And it's a season which takes us all the way through to the end of September when we come back together for the final time, the third and final time, to go to the Italian Dolomites in Molveno, that fantastic European mecca of cross triathlon racing. Before, just in case no one's heard this, just before next year we start a 3-year cycle with the race in the 30th year of XTERRA, which goes all the way back to 1996. In that 30th year, we return to its continental roots in the Americas to go to Ruidoso in New Mexico. So a fresh start next year, but an awful lot to look forward to this year. She looks like she's working well. Marta Mendito, just long stride, clicking the legs through as she goes across that road section and back to Alizé Paties. And you're right, of course, Nicole Walters, Paties is not holding back.
No, I mean, Marta did look like she was covering the ground pretty quickly then. She was super light on her feet and moving really well, but I'm not sure that she's going to be able to close this gap with only just over one lap to go.
We had drama in this race 1 year ago because we had a leading pack on the bike, which included Paties, Solène Billouin and Sandra Meyerhoff. Sandra Meyerhoff had won the day before, but she crashed on the bike in this short track race last year, meaning she was out of it as well. In the end, it was the 3-time world champion Billouin who won ahead of Annette Grabmüller and our current leader, Alizé Paties. This is Romy Spulder also going down that dip onto the road section, being followed by Emma de Croo, who does look like she's just running a little bit more cautiously. I don't know if is that me reading into that? She looks a little bit more stiff maybe than the others.
Yeah, so Romy and Emma both came into the T2 at the same time, so it does seem that Romy's put in a little bit of a gap into Emma, so perhaps moving a little bit faster, and perhaps Emma's feeling it a little bit more from the race yesterday too.
Yeah, it's to be expected after, well, nearly 3 hours of racing yesterday, and then fairly cool, wet conditions. A bit of uncertainty, it has to be said, this morning about exactly whether it would have to be delayed, because it was only about an hour or so before the start that the storm was absolutely raging. Well, we can hear the voice of our announcer at the finish. Don't forget, it is 2 laps of this run course to make up the full 3 kilometres, so she's got 1 more loop round to do. This is Romy Spulder in 3rd at the moment. Patier's breathing hard and concentrating hard now, with just that 1 more lap of, I'll give you the exact amount, 1.46 kilometres. We can see from her there running away from us, Nicole, just how muddy she is. It really has been tough out there on that bike course.
Doing an amazing job.
It has, yeah. They're all coming through pretty dirty from that bike, aren't they? And choosing where they're putting their feet carefully to make sure that they're finding grip as they cover the ground.
This is Amari Graver.
Mendito.
Marta's still moving really well there.
She does look good, doesn't she?
Yeah, she's moving fast there, and they're getting those nice shots from around the lake.
Women, Marta Mendito, ladies and gentlemen, bringing it in 2nd for the run.
She's up alongside transition. Just beyond her, our elite men getting ready for their race, which comes up after this one, of course. Stay with us after the conclusion of the elite women's race, and we'll bring you the elite men's race as well, where Arthur Forissier is going to start out in the gold swim cap as World Cup leader this year. Thankfully, in the men's elite race, we have both of the Forissiers firing. We didn't have that all of last season, but we have this year, and it's making the racing fantastic. No Arthur Serrier here today, though, 3-time world champion. So an opportunity again to build more World Cup points today in his absence. That's Romy Spulder, also looking like she's moving very well. No obvious signs of weakness on this final run as we focus on the leading athletes. I have to say, I don't know who's feeding her information, but in a way it's quite a good thing. Alice Patiers seems to be running scared, and it may be because she knows how quick Marta Mendito can be on a short final run like this. She keeps looking back.
Yeah, I saw her have a quick check there, but I don't think she's got anything to worry about. I think she's moving well, and actually if we have a look at the time gaps, I think she might have even put a bit of time into Marta on this run.
Romy Spulder, who started her Elite World Cup racing this year with a 5th place at Weston Park in that new round of the XTERRA World Cup. 5th there and 3rd yesterday. I'm currently sitting in 3rd, so looking for another 3rd place. This is Emma de Croo in 4th at the moment. I think I am reading right into that. I think she looks like she's taller than most of those ahead of her, but I think she is moving that little bit slower than certainly than Mendito and Patiers out front. This is Mendito in 2nd. She run form is always a deceptive thing, Nicole, isn't it? But she kind of looks the lightest and clippiest of our leading 4 athletes here, if you know what I mean.
It is, yeah. You can never really judge how quick an athlete is moving just on their run form. Some athletes look like they're only shuffling along, but it's
sorry to interrupt, Nicole. There's the gaps top left. We can see it, 50 seconds back to Mendito, 1:52 back to Romy Spulder, and Emma de Croo, nearly 2.25 minutes down now on Alice Patiers. And these are big gaps for a short track race. Bearing in mind she's only been racing 41 minutes. They're big gaps already, and her domination of the XTERRA World Cup is looking set to continue today. It should be another 75 points for her. She's just got to complete this final run lap now. Very impressive performance. It's worth pointing out, by the way, I mentioned... Sorry, Nicole, I was just going to say, I mentioned Solène Villewan not being here today. I can just update people on this. I think this is accurate information. I've been fed it by our team here. She was racing 70.3 because she's mixing up a bit this year. Last year's winner here, Solène Villewan. She raced the 70.3 race on the road in Aix-en-Provence today and came 11th. So I wonder whether she might be having a little look at this today and watching the results as well of Alice Patiers and thinking, right, when I get back to that World Cup, having been beaten by her in Australia as well, when I get back there, I've got to up my game because this is my turf. I'm the 3-time world champion. And I think it can only be good for our sport, can't it? Pushing things on.
Oh yeah, and it needs the athletes to push it on as well. And the the quality of the field is always growing. The athletes are always going away and seeing what they can do to get faster and making those adjustments to their training and to their kit and to everything that they do, and the standard just keeps going up.
So all of our leading athletes on their second and final run lap now to bring home this 3-kilometre trail run alongside Double Oak Lake, climbing up into Double Oak Mountain Forest alongside it as well. What a beautiful place to be on a Sunday morning. 9 o'clock there or thereabouts this race started. This is the final bit of trail right alongside the very edge of the lake. Normally sandy and dusty, but today kind of patted down and tacky. Looks like we're following Romy Spalder here. And these are the iconic Oak Mountain, XTERRA Oak Mountain shots, really, tracking across the lake, looking into the forest as they run that last little bit of trail. Here she comes. She's done it again. Alice Patier with 5 wins, and Alice Patier's here with yet another one. The dominant athlete, winning every single round of the XTERRA World Cup this year. And here in Oak Mountain, for the 2nd day in a row, she's done it again.
Yeah, what a great race from Elise today. She didn't put a foot wrong, just straight out the front right from the start.
She will wait and see her friend Marta Mendito coming towards the line. Job done for Alice Patier's 2nd day in a row. It's becoming very normal for her. There's an old saying, isn't there? I can't remember the exact saying, Nicole, but you know, winning is catching. It's contagious, isn't it? You just get used to it. You start to expect it of yourself, and that's, I suspect, the kind of groove that she's in. Not just physically, but you know, like mentally and expectation-wise.
Yeah, she's on a roll now, and she's obviously done some good training over the winter and carried that into the start of the season, and is having a really great 2025.
Marta Mendito running towards the line with a finger in the air. As I said, I figured she'd be out to try and prove a point today, and I think the finger wag in the air might be a little part of that. Mendito having a cup of water poured over her by her trade teammate, both in the same skin suit, of course, and delighted to see each other at the finish. Do you know what? I missed the gap there. It would have been out over a minute by the looks of it. So what would that be? 1:15, something like
It's
that?
about a minute and 10,
timing.
11 seconds. So
Yeah.
So Elise covering the ground a little bit faster on that run than Marta.
Marta Mendito, 4th in this short track race at Oak Mountain 1 year ago. And look at the sunshine. I can't believe how sunny and nice it looks at Oak Mountain, bearing in mind the horrific weather they've had.
I was about to say, looking at the mud on the tri-suits, you wouldn't think it was that sunny.
No, indeed. So, Alice Patier's first, Marta Mendito 2nd, and it's going to be Romy Spalder, the 24-year-old Dutch woman who comes in for yet another top performance in this year's XTERRA World Cup. The Dutch woman is proving herself to be one of the top elites this year, and it's really encouraging to see yet another nation being represented at the top end of Elite XTERRA.
And it's really nice to see new athletes coming through as well. A great race from her today on the podium. She'll be pleased with that.
Yeah, and we can see how warm it is. I've talked about, we know how damp it is and how muddy it's been and how much of a storm there's been, but the humidity was right up as well. So runners very quick to be pouring water over themselves. This is Emma De Croo coming in now. So we haven't had any movement on that final run. We've kind of maintained positions, and the gap between De Croo here, the second of our French athletes to finish, and Romy Spalder just opened up on that run. She finishes just over 3 minutes down on Alice Patier's. And Emma De Croo, one of those regular performers at a World Cup level in XTERRA. She was 8th in Greece, 8th again in Weston Park in the United Kingdom, and then had that fine 4th place yesterday. 5th. Sorry, hang on a minute. Where's she finished today? I've got to get on top of this. Fourth.
Fourth.
Thank you. Now we should be expecting to see leading American athlete Susie Snyder in here for yet another top performance in this race. She was inside the top 10 last year as well.
We'll do the 3, right? 3 interviews? 3, 2.
The athlete from Boulder, Colorado, into her 40s and showing absolutely no signs of slowing down either as the leading American in this race. We should be able to bring you some interviews shortly. Now, looking down at the moment, this should be the slightly pinky skin suit of Susie Snyder. I'll wait till I see the front end shot. Now that said, actually, Lorena Earl was up there too, the German. I think she's just come ahead of Susie Snyder. There's Snyder coming in now, and Lorena Earl just ahead of her. So Snyder in the end closing her down on the run, but not quite enough. Lorena Earl in 5th, Susie Snyder in 6th, and it should be the Canadian athlete Katie Button up next. In amongst them somewhere there as well is Hannah Lee Young. Let's see where she is. Let's hear from Romy Spolder.
Take 3rd place at the World Cup.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, 2 times 3rd this weekend, so I think I can be happy with that.
Tell us real quick about your race day in the short track. How'd that go?
Well, my swim start was not the best, so I had to catch up, but after that it was okay. My bike riding was not the best, so I think I lose some time there. Yeah, and the run was okay, I think, so yeah, 3rd place is very nice.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Place today.
Thank you.
Nice job.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So a little bit of work to do there by the sound of it. I think it might have been Steve Andrews there doing the interviews at the finish, but she'll know she's got a little bit of work to do on her bike leg. Certainly by the time she gets to courses like the one in Molveno, if she's feeling like she's got opportunities to improve, she will need to do it in time for those World Championships at the end of the year. Who are we hearing from next? Let's see.
Marta, congratulations on your 2nd place finish today, short track. Tell us about your race today and how it felt to come in today.
Yeah, the swim was a bit challenging for me today. I don't know, after the race of yesterday, it's always difficult to start back fast like that. But I felt good on the bike at the start, so I was able to come back to Romy and to Emma. And I tried to attack at the start, at the end of the first lap, and it was good. I like this condition, muddy and slippery like that. So yeah, I'm really happy for the performance of today on the short track.
What did you think of the track today?
Oh, I liked it with the mud and with all the routes that were so slippery. So it was cool to have a muddy short track for once.
Wonderful. Congratulations today.
Thank you. Ciao, Mama.
Ciao, Mama. It was cool for it to be wet, muddy and slippery, Nicole. She's made from something different. I'd be like, no, I don't need this.
No, a lot of the athletes would have enjoyed slipping and sliding around in the mud today and just going out and having fun on their bikes, which is what XTERRA is all about, really.
Yeah, absolutely. What an iconic XTERRA venue as well, looking down on it there. What a fantastic place to be, and it could have been so different. Let's hear from our winner, Alize Paties.
Alize, congratulations on your 1st place finish at Oak Mountain for the North America Championship. 1st short track this year. How does it feel? How was your race today?
Yeah, my legs were quite heavy this morning, but I said, yeah, it's very funny to do the short track, so let's have fun, and I will do my best. So yeah, I'm quite happy for the race.
What was your favorite part today of the whole courses today and tracks?
Maybe the swim. I was quite good on the swim, and on the bike, the first loop, it was very hard for me. I had no legs, but then it was getting better. So yeah, maybe the swim.
What was your strategy today going into this race?
I wanted to push on the swim and then see what happened on the bike and on the run, but I didn't want to to make some risk on the bike because it was very, very slippery. And now this year we had a lot of jumps, so it was very funny. But yeah, I said, okay, keep going to push, but be careful because it can be dangerous.
How does it feel to be where you're at this year? You've had a lot of success in World Cup. How does that feel?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's unbelievable. It's so nice. But sometimes I say maybe I don't know when I will finish third. I will be like not sad, but what happened? But no, I just want to I don't know to keep going like that, and we will see.
Congratulations, Alizé. This is great to see.
Thank you. Bisous, maman.
Kisses to mum. I think that's been an arrangement between her and Marta Mendieta to get a word in for their mums at the end. Nice to see. Nicole, interesting though to hear both of them. Well, both actually talking about how fun the bike course was, but as I maybe suspected, with only 5 more rounds to go, unbelievably, we are at the halfway point in this World Cup. She is starting to think about not taking too many risks, making sure she bags those wins. We'll come back to that in a second. Let's look at that top 9 as we see it. Katie Button, the Canadian, in 9th, nearly 6 minutes down. Katja Kren, the Austrian athlete, 5.5 minutes down. Hannah Lee Young again doing her World Cup, standing no end of good in 7th. Susie Snyder once again, the best American, but nearly 5 minutes down. Lorena Earl, the German athlete, 4.5 minutes down. De Croo, in the end, separated between herself and Romy Spulder, the young Dutch woman, again proving what a threat she's going to be this year. Marta Mendieta with a point to prove, wagging the finger in the air as she came towards the line, just over a minute down on her good friend and teammate, Alizé Patiès, who takes now 6 World Cup rounds in a row. That's some dominance, it has to be said, Nicole. In the history of the short history of the World Cup, that is quite some dominance.
Yeah, it's very, very impressive to be able to put races together back to back like that and finishing on the top every time.
Yeah, well, that World Cup hasn't yet come home to nest, so to speak, as we look at the nesting box. Let's look at the swim as it went. Who impressed you on that swim, Nicole?
I think Alizé had a really good swim. I said she'd right up the front there, first out of transition, and then into a strong bike leg. She did a great job.
Yeah, splashing through the water in the middle as well. At this point, it was really a case of, as she said in her interview there, not making mistakes, because it can happen at any point, can't it? It could be a puncture. I don't want to wish it on anyone, but we know this. Could be a puncture, could be a slip on a route or something like that. We saw Grabmuller crashed heavily on this course, although the course was slightly different, longer route yesterday, and it can happen to anyone. Grabmuller herself, a very good mountain biker now, and she obviously didn't want to make mistakes. These two were still together, of course, when they came back in off the bike. A very fine run by Romy Spulder to distance a kind of cautious, resistive running Emma De Croo, who looked like she was just measuring out that run. Still a great place in 4th, but Alizé Patiès, 6 World Cup rounds in a win. Not just XTERRA races, but World Cup rounds at elite level as well. That is impressive. And I have to say, talking about the consistency, Nicole, as well, it is also impressive that she's not had issues in there, or the issues she has had, she's overcome and still won.
Yeah, there's always the uncertainty of things that you can't control, perhaps more in off-road racing than you get in road triathlon. So mechanicals on the bike can happen, flat tyres, other mechanical issues, and she's done really well to avoid any of those things that have knocked her down from that top position.
Indeed. Right, we are now moving on to our elite men's race, having a little look back at how things have unfolded. Of course, just like the women, all the men's rounds run alongside the women's, and we started off in Dunsborough in Australia for those opening 2 rounds. It was Jens Emil Sloth Nielsen who was absolutely flying as well, and proving that he'd worked on his run, improved his swim, and was becoming very much the all-round athlete as well. Ben Forbes having a fantastic race there as well in the full distance race. They then moved on to Greece and Vouliagmeni for that mainstay of the XTERRA World Cup now as well. The full distance race in Greece, and it was Felix Forissier, World Cup winner from last year, proving he's right back at it again this year, having missed the Australian round. Arthur Forissier had gone and raced there, his brother, but he didn't. We then moved on to Weston Park in the United Kingdom, and Felix Forissier was at it again, finishing ahead of Will Draper and his brother Arthur Forissier on the podium in third. And then yesterday's race in the muddy, wet conditions of Oak Mountain for the full distance race just yesterday. Felix Forissier taking 3 wins in a row ahead of Sullivan Middahl, who should be a big threat here. However, because he raced in Australia and his brother didn't, not sure what would have happened if he had, Arthur Forissier is in the gold jersey and the gold swim cap as leader of the XTERRA World Cup. And it will be great, won't it? 1 year ago, we were deprived of seeing Arthur Forissier and Felix Forissier alongside each other in this race. Up against them, Michele Bonacina always goes well in the short track distance. Ben Forbes is probably the fastest biker now in this field, and Sebastian Neef is also, the German, in very good form indeed. I think we're set for a cracking race here, which could be, I think, I'm going to predict this now, Nicole, could be a bit closer than the elite women's race that we've just seen. However, we'll come back to that, and let's hear in the first of our interviews pre-race.
I'm so happy to be back in this beautiful Alabama. It's a great place here to do XTERRA. I'm pretty happy. It's my third World Cup of this year, and yeah, I'm impatient to improve myself here in the track, during the bike, and during the run. I want to be more on the front as possible and the last competition.
Yes, I really like the short track form because it's nice for me. Normally, I'm good out of the swim, and now I'm trying to improve also my bike skills and run too. And so when I started some 4 years ago, was a little bit harder. Now I can stay in front alone if it's a race like this, and I can be there and with my legs, and is really nice. I really enjoy the short track here in Oak Mountain. The first year here, I did my first podium in a short track race, and was really nice and awesome. For the short track here in Oak Mountain, my goal for sure is to repeat the podium and try to stay with the strongest guys, but we never know. We will see during the race.
Michele Bonacina there, who starts this race today in second place in the World Cup, which is a new heady height for him, really. The consistency's really come for him this year. Looking at that, the water temperature, the air temperature has gone up a little bit more, 22 degrees. If you are just recently joining us for our live feed here, welcome to the live feed of XTERRA Oak Mountain, the short track race with me, Jez Cox, and Nicole Walters. Let me just talk you through the course so you know what happens. It is 2 200-metre loops to make up the opening swim of 400 metres, and then they head out onto the bike course. It's 7.5k in total, made up of 3 very short, quite technical loops. We've heard from the elite women already, slippery, rooty, rutted technical trails as well, with a nice bit of flow in between them. It did sound like our elite women really enjoyed that bike course. It is muddy though. Expect to see these elite men coming back with, what shall we say, soggy bottoms? We'll call it that. On to the run course. 2 laps this run course, 2 laps of 1500 metres to give us a 3k final trail run, finishing along the very edge of the Double Oak Lake in Oak Mountain State Park. We're racing in Alabama, USA. These are live pictures you're seeing, and we are ready for the start of our elite men's race, I should say. We've had the elite women's race already, which saw a dominant performance by Alice Patiès. Will we have one athlete here who dominates more than others? We'll see. It was a very close race, this short track race last year, Nicole, wasn't it? And it was Arthur Serrière, the now 3-time, then 2-time world champion, who took the win on that occasion. This is the start list. Arthur Forissier, it's ordered, by the way, of course, in World Cup standings. Arthur Forissier, Michele Bonacina, Sebastian Neef. The athlete who is missing is the winner of the opening rounds of the World Cup in Australia, and that is Jens Emil Sloth Nielsen, which is a shame on a good technical bike course like this. He has chosen this weekend to have a tryout racing 70.3 on the road, just as Soleil Bilwanda. He raced in Aix-en-Provence today, and I believe he was 25th. We're missing him because he's always exciting to watch in a race like this, not least because he is normally chasing back some gaps from the swim, a little bit at least.
USA.
Plenty of American athletes making it into this elite field as well. We'll look to see where the best of them are.
Jonathan McKinley, USA.
We expect to have about 20 elite men in this short track World Cup round 6 of 11.
USA. Steve Croucher, USA. Brian Smith,
And these are all American
USA.
elites who raced yesterday as well. One of the nice things about having the full distance on the Saturday is an opportunity, Nicole, isn't it, for the best of the age groupers to qualify for this race. We've just seen Porter Middow going through. Porter Middow is the youngest of the Middow brothers. Of course, his slightly older brother, there he is, Sullivan Middow, had that fantastic win in the short track World Cup at Molveno at the end of last year, where he beat Felix Forissier and Arthur Serrière in one of the best finishes of the season last year. Scotty Anderson, the German athlete, Seb Carabin as well. Expect to see Spinazzi up there on the swim with Michele Bonacina. Those two were together on the bike course last year. The Kiwi with the moustache
Tell me when you're ready for the
from Cascade.
Benjamin Forbes representing Australia.
Now, Ben Forbes has been the big revelation on the bike in particular in Elite XTERRA this year. How will this wet course today suit him? He was 10th yesterday. A little bit further down than where he's been this season.
Representing Germany.
Sebastian Neef really enjoyed the conditions yesterday in the full distance race and was third.
Michele Bonacina, Italy.
Michele Bonacina was 5th yesterday, and as he's mentioned already, will look to hit this swim really hard and get out onto the tacky trails as quick as he can. Arthur Forissier, I made a little mistake earlier and mentioned that he wasn't here in this race. He was. It was actually slightly later in the season that he then had to step away from the sport and get himself healthy and well again. He had an injury. He was here because he came third, just behind his brother Felix. The winner last year in this race was Arthur Serrière, the then 2-time world champion. Felix Forissier was second, and Arthur Forissier was third. We've got no Serrière here, but we've got both Forissier brothers, and that should make for a potent combination at the front. Nicole, do you want to give us any early predictions of how this race might go as we watch them ready to start?
Oh, I'm quite excited to see how Sullivan Middow gets on. So I think he's going to be up there challenging the Forissier brothers, and I think Bonacina's probably going to have quite a good race as well. So we could be seeing a real fight at the front.
Yeah. Sullivan Middow was second yesterday in the full distance, and we know how good he is over the short distances, particularly on that run as well. That short track race at Molveno last year was absolutely brilliant between Felix Forissier, Sullivan Middow and Arthur Serrière, and he dusted both of them at the age of 20, didn't he? He's 21 now, another year older, another year stronger. Just watching Sebastian Neef there, just backing off and waiting for the choppy water to open up in front of him. He starts right on the back row there, the man who finished third yesterday. Why would he be doing that, Nicole? You know far more about these elite swims than I do. Why would he hang back?
Yeah, I mean, there's 20 odd men here all fighting to get into that first swim buoy, which isn't far away. So we've got this massive pack And actually, it's probably a little bit easier if he's not going to be up the front to just hang back and have that clear water.
That makes sense to me as they head out towards that buoy. Don't forget to look out for Arthur Forissier, who is in the gold swim cap. At the moment, it's just a melee of arms and splash, but we'll see them coming back towards us and things will start to spread out a little bit more.
Reset it all up. Hey, an amazing day here, 2025 XTERRA North American Championship.
Just as a reminder, 2 laps of this swim course. They have a little exit onto the beach and a run round to get back in again to make up the 400 metres in total. 3 laps on the bike course to give us 7.5k of racing on the mountain bike up into the state park, up into the beautiful woodland, and then a 2-lap final run to give us 3 kilometres. Exactly the same distance as for the elite women, as you might expect.
So I think I'm seeing a white swim cap out the front there.
Yes.
Would that be Sebastian Caravan, do we think?
Let me see now as I look down my start list. Who's wearing white? Caravan. Yeah, Caravan's wearing white. That would make sense, and that's a really good opening start to the swim for him, if it is. He also was one of those who didn't go to Australia for the first 2 rounds, but has been steadily just ticking away, really. He was 6th in Greece, 9th at Weston Park in the United Kingdom, and 7th yesterday too, so very consistent. And I do think on a course like this, where it's wet and where in places on a bike course like this, while it's so short, people might have to be being a little bit cautious, Nicole. There might actually be what they call a speed limit in some parts of this course, where if you just go faster than that, you'll crash because you'll wipe out. So maybe actually exiting the swim today in good position could be a distinct advantage. I know that sounds like a ridiculously obvious thing to say, but I do think when it's wet, there's more speed limits on the course in places where you just can't go any faster.
Yeah, it makes it a lot harder to overtake if you've got slippy conditions. But as I expected, we've got Michele Bonacino out in second position as well. Oh no, apologies.
Yeah, saying that he's out in the lead. Was Bonacino in a white swim? Yes, he's in a blue swim cap. Unless he's got his swim cap the wrong way around. I was looking for the gold swim cap there. Arthur Forissier. Where's Forissier in the gold cap? He's not showing. Have I missed something? He's not showing up on there. Felix Forissier is. That might be a timing issue. Did you see him on there, Nicole?
I didn't, no. I was looking for Bonacino as well. I don't think I saw him.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. Well, they're back out for their second lap. All will become evident as they exit the water again and head into transition.
That was a good first lap from Felix Forissier as well. He was right up the front there.
Indeed. Well, I've got, according to this, at swimmer exit there, Arthur Forissier was in 15th place. That's a little bit of body space in front of him to make up as well. But Felix Forissier, as you say, looking really good. That's that far turn point as well, and they're heading back towards the beach again and into transition. It is over so quickly. Just 4 minutes of racing so far, as we can see from the clock bottom right. And unlike the elite women's race, we've had multiple kind of shuffling top threes during the course of this season. First 2 rounds of the World Cup being won, as I say, by Jens Emil Sloth-Nielsen, the Danish athlete. Before Felix Forissier entered the fray in Vouliagmeni in Greece, and then he's taken 3 World Cup wins in a row. Certainly he'll be keen to win the World Cup this year. But I think beyond that, one of the things we sensed in Molveno last year, Nicole, was that Felix Forissier doesn't want to be known as Mr. Consistent. He wants to be known as one thing: world champion. And I just wonder whether across the course of this season he might be even just mentally thinking about holding something back for the final tilt, the third and not necessarily final time, but the third time in this cycle that we bring the World Championships to Molveno in September. I wonder whether that's on his mind even now.
This is Lucas Wright.
Yeah, perhaps. It's always difficult to be consistent throughout a season and then pull out a standout performance at the end of it when you're perhaps starting to get a little bit tired. So it is important to I guess, pace yourself a little bit throughout the year to make sure that you're good to go by that World Champs.
Well, here comes Sullivan Middow. Sullivan Middow is out as well. We've got some of the American athletes right up there amongst them. Steve Croucher swimming well as well. Younger brother Porter Middow out, as you can hear from our announcer there as well.
And that's
there goes the gold swim cap. Yes. Yeah. Arthur Farizier down in, I think he might have made up a little bit of space there. Let's watch this. Right, leading athlete out is Lucas Wright. Now, he qualified as one of the best of the amateur men yesterday, so that is quite some swim. He's down as an amateur, not a pro on our start list, and Lucas Wright of America is out first. That's impressive. Let's see how he goes on this bike course.
Yeah, it's really great to see some of the young USA athletes all mixing it up with the elites here now, and yeah, hopefully he'll go with these guys and have a really great experience today.
Yes, we can just see Michele Bonacina going after him like a rocket as we see Emma De Croo in the foreground getting her post-race nutrition in. That looks like a lollipop to me. Yeah, just watching the race, picking up a suntan. Who'd have thought that this morning we had thunder, lightning, crackling rain hammering down on this place? Anyway, now we're watching more and more of the athletes going out. So Lucas Wright leading, Felix Farizier calmly following, Michele Bonacina going after him like he's stolen his best swimmer tag. Michele Bonacina, who's known as El Squalo, the shark, he has a reputation for being the fastest of the XTERRA swimmers. I'm not sure he wasn't riding after Lucas Wright to tap him on the shoulder and say in Italian, "Hey mate, what do you think you're playing at?" Anyway, now this is Farizier and Bonacina. Now, don't tell me they've dispensed with Lucas Wright already. Where is he?
Then only 18 seconds back, we've got Sullivan Middow as well, so I imagine he'll be making his way to the front of this race too.
Yep, Middow and Federico Spinazzi there as well coming through. Still got some of the best. There's Middow going through. And he's got a little bit of chasing to do. He's got Steve Croucher ahead of him. Second of those American athletes. Charlie Smoke up there in the top 10 too. So as we saw last year, the American elites really at it on that swim. Here we are into the drop again. First lap of 3 on the bike course. Michele Bonacina leading from Felix Farizier. Look, Farizier looks calm and in control, doesn't he? Just following Bonacina at the moment. Michele Bonacina's really improved his bike leg too. In fact, he's improved all round, but he's definitely improved his mountain bike leg, and I guess he's needed to because he wants to maintain everything that he's tending to build on that swim course as well. But I just wonder whether Felix Farizier will be tracking him and then hope that he will have the measure of him on maybe the second or third of these bike legs, because usually he would have, I think. What's your inkling, Nicole?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how Bonacina gets on. So he's podiumed at this race before, so he'll know that he races well over this course. So perhaps he's just really going for it. And traditionally, we'll see him out the front of the swim, and then we're almost waiting for him to get caught. But he's already right up there, and if his biking has improved, let's hope that he can stay up the front.
Sullivan Middow there has just caught up with Steve Croucher. Charlie Smoke, Hugo Boschner going through behind them as well. Hugo Boschner, the Dutch athlete. But we've got athletes in here who are definitely going to be looking to make up gaps. Kieran McPherson, Sebastian Neef, and Arthur Farizier, along with Scotty Anderson. Those guys and Ben Forbes are going to be trying to chase their way as far back through this field as they can, because they've definitely lost some time out of the swim. There's that slippery boardwalk section again, and it's diagonal transition off it. That's Sullivan Middow. And then just behind him, Federico Spinazzi in the red top, yellow sleeves, Nicole.
So I think that chase pack is already starting to close some of the gap to the front of the race.
Yeah. This is what we saw 1 year ago. In fact, we had a fair old pack forming up in this race last year. pack at this point last year was being led by an athlete who's not here this year, Theo Duprez. This is back to the front of the race. Felix Farissier looks so calm. I just got this feeling, Nicole, that he is quite happy to sit in behind Michele Bonacina and wait at the moment. Wait for what, though? Let's see. Because Bonacina's going to, I guess, keep piling it on. He's a really aggressive racer anyway. We heard how he was looking forward to this bike course and looking to hit it hard.
We always see him go out hard on the bike, don't we?
Yeah.
Doesn't wait to be caught. He always pushes on and tries to stay out the front.
I'm just starting to wonder, as we watch now, Sullivan Midar having worked his way through the field. He's got Federico Spinazzi, the Italian, with him. And then Steve Croucher there. Lucas Wright is still hanging on to the back of that group. I'm starting to wonder whether maybe Felix Farissier, if he's got it in him, could do well to get ahead of Michele Bonacina and open up a bit of clear space at the front. Because otherwise we're going to have the formation of another very big pack there. And it's being led by Sullivan Midar, who is dragging them on at the moment. There he is.
Yeah, I think for me in conditions like this as well, I'd prefer to be the rider in front, because you're then not worrying about the rider in front of you making any mistakes, and then you perhaps being held up by that as well. So
yeah, there is Ben Forbes, I think.
It's hard to miss in that yellow and green tri-suit, isn't
he? Yes, he is, but he's quite a long way down. He's probably one of the fastest bikers in here, if not the fastest based on recent form, but he has got work to do. And actually, unfortunately for him, not quite as many kilometres in which to do it in. This is the first lap, 2 laps to go. It won't be long before they're back alongside transition again. There is Ben Forbes. Now, I can see him making up maybe even 5 or 6 places in here going on previous form, but let's see. And what will that take out? There's one thing doing that, then it takes that little bit more out of you for the run, of course.
So we're just seeing Felix go to the front as this group comes together now.
Yeah, Lucas Wright still on the back of it. 2 American athletes at the front. Felix Farissier had a little look round. Michele Bonacina knows he's in very good company. So Farissier, Bonacina. Sullivan Midar has a little look back as well, and closing up behind him, Kieran McPherson and Lucas Wright. And this is World Cup leader there, Arthur Farissier, going through. He's currently in 7th. Charlie Smoke and Steve Croucher, the 2 American athletes, not far behind, as is Porter Midar. So we're looking at having, potentially, at the moment, we've got 2 Midars in the top 10. I'll just point out to people, by the way, their dad, Josiah, is not racing today. As we remember from those full-distance World Championships last year, he's good enough to beat both of his sons as well. He's not racing, though. Maybe a good thing. Having 3 Midars in one short-track race is quite tricky to stay on top of. It's bad enough having 2 Farissiers and 2 Midars. There's Ben Forbes again going through in that yellow skin suit. So the man who's won all 3 of the last World Cups leads this group, and they're all sitting on him at the moment. They're either sitting on him or they're desperately hanging on to him. We will see which it is, because we're out onto lap 2 of 3 now on this bike course here at the Short Track World Cup at XTERRA Oak Mountain in Alabama, USA. In the sunshine, wouldn't you know, after a massive storm overnight and a big storm this morning. And looking here, is that a gold bike he's on? It's a kind of goldy colour that Arthur Farissier is on there. I don't know whether they've made that up specifically for the XTERRA World Cup.
No, we're just seeing there that Arthur Farissier had the fastest bike lap, so he's making ground on this group at the front. So he's obviously wanting to push on and try and make his way forwards.
Now, what's going to is this going to come down? If it comes down to the final run, I have to say they're playing with fire there when they've got Sullivan Midar in that lead pack. I just can't help but think that there's quite a few athletes in that leading group that need to make the most of this bike course to put the pressure on Sullivan Midar, because I don't see many of them beating him on that final 3K run if he's running anywhere near his best. He was second yesterday, let's not forget, so we know how quick he is, but particularly over these short distances. We saw that in Malveno, didn't we, Nicole?
We did, and we know he's got a sprint finish if he needs it as well, so...
Yeah. By the way, I hadn't realised Lucas Wright, who's up there at the front of the race today and led out of the swim, is junior. He races in the 18 to 19 category and won that yesterday in the sprint race. He won the sprint race yesterday, so he is absolutely flying. What a swim by him. And currently still in 6th place as well, Lucas Wright. There's a name to watch for the future, for sure. And that looked like, I think that was Arthur Farissier going through again there, one of our static cameras in the woods. And this is where it gets tricky when we've got a pack together, as we had last year on the boardwalk here, just watching the tyres as they rattle off it. We heard the elite women talking about how tricky that section is. There is Porter Midar, I think. Yeah. Ben Forbes, Hugo Boschner and Porter Midar there. Just little gaps between them as we see them coming onto the boardwalk now too. And we just hear, I think, Arthur Farissier there talking to the athlete ahead of him. He is flying at the moment, the Frenchman, as he works his way through this field. He definitely did not have a good swim, did he? But he's up to, what, about 7th place now, Nicole, by the looks of it.
Yeah, he's definitely making his way forward. He's looking really strong on the bike here. And I wonder if riding in the group at the front is perhaps not as quick as being out by yourself with these slippy conditions.
Yeah, indeed. Well, now there's a big attack coming here. Let's see who's at the front. It was Midar. It was Sullivan Midar. Still Sullivan Midar at the front at the moment. Federico Spinazzi a little bit further now. Michele Bonacina drifting down that group a little bit too. There goes Felix Farissier just watching things, but there are little gaps opening up in there too. And Lucas Wright still hanging on to the back end of that in the blue skin suit. What a ride by him. The teenager hanging with the best XTERRA pros in the world at the moment. Throwing down a big performance here today in the Short Track World Cup at Oak Mountain. Another year older, another year stronger for Sullivan Midar.
Oh, he's really splitting up this front pack, isn't he? And that just looks like Michele Bonacina starting to struggle there.
Yeah. Yeah, Bonacina has got Lucas Wright with him. So two of the best, well, the two best swimmers in this field. From today's evidence anyway, together, but off the back of the leading group. There goes Ben Forbes coming through. I suspect he'll be on one of the fastest bike times, bike splits, I should say, along with Arthur Farissier. And how much time can Farissier make up? Can he get back in contact with the back of that leading group? We might find out after the race as well what's happened to him, because it was a long way down for him on the swim as well. There's Forbes coming through. He's into the top 10 now, so he's making up time for sure, up into, I think, 8th or 9th. This is Sullivan Midar leading back into transition, and they're ready to go out onto their final run. He's still being followed by Felix Farissier, yesterday's winner, and Federico Spinazzi has got on there too. That's a good ride by the Italian. Little gap between them and Kieran McPherson and Michele Bonacina. And I think Lucas Wright back there too. I'm going to check it as they come through this time. Sullivan Midar leads through that timing point. Felix Farissier there with him, and Federico Spinazzi. That's our leading three. It's Kieran McPherson and Michele Bonacina, 4th and 5th. And this is Arthur Farissier on that gold bike, white helmet, the current World Cup leader. And I'll remind people again, every single round counts. We have 11 rounds in total of this XTERRA World Cup, taking us right the way through to the short track final round in Molveno in the Italian Dolomites. Every single round counts. So those who want to feature in that top 5, top 10 of the World Cup need to be scoring points every round. Sebastian Neef just inside that top 10 in 8th. Lucas Wright still right up there. Second of the Americans, of course, when we consider that Sullivan Midar is right at the front of this race. And now, once again, Felix Farissier quite happy to sit on whoever wants to lead. Sullivan Midar he's managed to, Midar's effort there, Nicole, has whittled down that leading group now to just 4, but he hasn't distanced the others yet.
No, I wonder if he's going to surge again on this final lap coming into the run, or actually if he decides he doesn't need to because he backs himself for the run.
Yeah, well, I back him for the run. I tell you, I think he's absolutely deadly over that shorter distance. It's the shorter distance in particular. He seems really quick, and I'm going to say it now, I don't see any of them beating him on that final run. But we need to remember, as we said with the elite women's race, this is the second day of competition. They've done the full distance race yesterday. There's been really terrible weather conditions overnight, really challenging as well. It's wet and tacky. Anything can happen. But looking at the way that Sullivan Midar is going today, they've got to. Somebody in that group should try and make a little bit of a gap at least before we get into transition.
I think if I was Sullivan now, I'd be just playing a waiting game on the bike, staying up the front, staying safe, staying out of trouble, and knowing that the run's coming and that I can, I guess, outrun anybody.
Yeah, there's that drop again in the woods. This is lap 3. And we're just looking there at Arthur Farissier pumping his dropper post down in that little gap in between. It's one of those courses where there's actually not much space to drop a dropper post down. I wonder how many. Do you reckon most of the athletes here will be using them, Nicole? I guess you just keep it on your cross country bike all year, do you?
Yeah, I mean the dropper post is so easy to use and so efficient that even just with small ups and downs, there's plenty of time to use it to put that seat down, get it back up again for the next climb, and yeah, they'll be using it all of the time throughout this course.
What a lovely looking scene, looking through the middle of Oak Mountain State Park. Just while the race is going on, we have a moment of pause, looking through the mottled green leaves of this enormous Oak Mountain State Park in Pelham, just north of Pelham in Alabama. Here's our leading group again. It is still Sullivan Midar leading. Felix Farissier, Federico Spinazzi, Kieran McPherson, Michele Bonacina. And here comes... no, sorry, that's not Arthur Farissier. Who have we got there? Ooh. I had just looked up at the screen at the last minute as well. Where is the elder of the two Farissier brothers, Arthur Farissier? He was in 6th. How much can he close up on that gold bike? The Sullivan Midar, as we see there, with the fastest bike lap so far as well, according to our graphic up there. They've got another up once they've gone over this bridge, one more climb and then the descent and the trail along the edge of the lake to bring them back towards the finish and into transition for that 2-lap final run. Federico Spinazzi right in the middle of that group. Sullivan Midar leading,
still very wet and slippy out on the course. You can hear those brakes going as they drop down that descent.
Yeah, squealing away, aren't they? And that'll be the second day of today of getting these bikes clean. There'd have been an awful lot of bike maintenance going on yesterday evening to get them all back up and ready for today after a gritty day out yesterday. Plenty of sand on this course. And there's that leading group again. It is Kieran McPherson in that blue tri-suit just on the back of it as well, and the yellow and red familiar colours of Federico Spinazzi, the 27-year-old Italian, just in front of him, the man from Treviso. And there goes Michele Bonacina. He'll be disappointed with that, to have been distanced by that group. It's only a short gap, but it just means he won't benefit from that kind of visual pacing of the athletes with him on that run, I guess, Nicole. And there's Arthur Farissier.
I don't think Arthur's too far behind now.
No.
He's still been closing that gap a little bit.
Last timing gap I saw was just under a minute, about 55 seconds to... No, actually, ignore that. It's not that big a gap at all. We'll wait till we see the next timing.
Yeah.
Timing point. Yeah, we'll wait till we see the next one. There's Kieran McPherson. Kieran McPherson has been riding shotgun at the back there. Last place, last place of the leading group, I should say. It is Sullivan Midar who leads in. Felix Farissier right with him. Felix Farissier has been there alongside, just on the wheel of anyone who fancies leading on this bike course. Is he about to dust them on this final run? This 3 kilometre, 2-lap run around the edge of Oak Mountain's beautiful Double Oak Lake here. It is Felix Farissier who leads out first. Look at that, that's telling, Nicole.
Yeah, fast transition in this short track is so important. The race is so short that you're not going to want to be giving away time.
Farissier down as well. Sorry, did you see that? Just along the slope there.
Yeah.
I said he has to have a problem-free race. We talked about that with Paties in the elite women as well, and that was a big slide as well. That might give him that little shot of adrenaline at this stage. Not that he needs it, but Sullivan Midar would have seen that. Let's have a look at it again, shall we? Wow. Wow.
He was back up pretty quickly there. He saved that very well.
Yeah, I have to say, that actually might be that. As long as he's not got any niggles as a result of that, that'll be that little pump of extra adrenaline in there that might just give him a little kick here. There goes Arthur Farissier, unmistakable style. He's all by himself. He's in 6th place, as we can see. It's Felix Farissier and Sullivan Midar at the front. Kieran McPherson chasing well. This is Seb Neef in 7th place right now, the German. And that's a little bit way back behind where he was yesterday, enjoying the longer distances normally, the experienced German athlete. He was 3rd yesterday in the full distance, and he's currently, as we can see, in 7th place in the short track. Who can close the gaps? Ben Forbes has had a good bike leg, but looking like he's running a little bit heavier, dare I say it, as we look at him coming out there. He's just ahead of Leon Wright, who's still inside the top 10 as well. Lucas Wright, I should say, not Leon. Lucas Wright still in the top 10, the teenager. We are crossing our fingers for him to hang on in there in the top 10 because he'd be richly deserving of it. He's got Porter Midar chasing him down, though. There's going to be an interesting battle for the Americans for that final 2 places in the top 10. Let's watch that one. Here are our 2 leaders, though. Sullivan Midar ominously following Felix Farissier. And this is Michele Bonacina now running strong. I love such a short final run, Nicole, because it's you can't really pace it, can you? You just got to hit it hard and hold on.
No, you've just got to go as hard as you can on this final run. It's only 3 kilometres, and there's no more racing to do after this. You know, it's been a full weekend of racing. Their legs are going to be so tired right now, but I know it's going to be over very, very soon.
Little look, tiny little look over the shoulder of Felix Farissier there to see if he'd managed to drop Sullivan Midar. Now, I think that was telling. It was only a slight look as they approached the top of the hill there. He hasn't done it. And if anything now, Sullivan Midar might be doing what Felix Farissier did to him on the bike. Felix was sitting in behind anyone who would lead and just watching and waiting. The way he attacked out of transition tells me that he feels like he's running strong enough to drop everyone. The problem is, this 21-year-old American who's following him, I'm not sure he's droppable on this kind of distance. I'm very happy to be proven wrong, Nicole, but Sullivan Midar looks much the match here. We could be down to another one of those fantastic sprint finishes, maybe.
Yeah, and they're running so fast at the moment. That's almost the first run lap completed with only 1 more to go.
Yeah, incredible. Last year's XTERRA World Cup served up some of the best sprint finishes in the history of this sport, really. We had a fantastic sprint finish in Czechia, didn't we, in Prahatica, in the short track between Felix Farissier, Arthur Serrier and Jens Emil Sloth-Nielsen on that occasion as well. And much the same at the short track World Cup finale in Moveno last year. That brilliant win taken out by Sullivan Midar ahead of, as I say, Felix Farissier and Arthur Serrier as well. Michele Bonacina in 5th place, looking like he's running well. But he has Arthur Farissier and Sebastian Neef chasing him. He's going to have his work cut out to hold those 2 off. At the moment, he's got clear daylight behind him. There is Arthur Farissier, the World Cup leader. He could do with making up a few more places to add some more points. He's leading through consistency and the fact that he's also raced and finished every round so far, Felix Farissier. This is Seb Neef chasing him, currently in 7th place. The German, who was 3rd yesterday, as I say. Quite even gaps between 5th, 6th and 7th there. Where's Ben Forbes as well? I don't know Nicole, I know I'm a bit cruel with my visual analysis of athletes. He didn't look great. He didn't look too sprightly coming out of the run. We look back and we've not seen him there. I hope he's all right. He just looked a little bit like he was running still on the bike, if you know what I mean. It's something that only triathletes will understand. But you know when you start a run and you're still sitting down on the bike? It looked a little bit like that.
A little bit sluggish getting the legs going.
Yeah. And that's Kieran McPherson. Looking good in fourth at the moment, getting the encouragement. They're going past transition. 1 lap to go now. Look at the faces.
And we see Sullivan take the lead as well.
Yep. Yes, indeed. So, Sullivan Midar leading. Felix Farissier. I'm going to say it now, Nicole. I think we're going to have a 2-up sprint between those two. His brother, the older of the two Farissier brothers, Arthur here, very close to catching Michele Bonacina and moving up into 5th place. What do you reckon, Nicole? Is it going to be a sprint between those two?
I don't know. I mean, Sullivan's moved to the front, so he's obviously feeling confident. And can Felix hang on? And I mean, short tracks are always full of surprises and full of great finishes. And so I wouldn't be surprised if we get another one today.
This is Seb Neef, the German, also coming back along the edge of transition, or about to anyway, as we see him heading out. Final run lap now of the final run in the final, second and final day, the last race of elite competition from XTERRA Oak Mountain. My name's Jez Cox. I've got Nicole Walters with me once again as we are all the way through this elite season here, bringing you live televised coverage of the XTERRA World Cup. We'll bring you, hello, hang on a minute. This is Sullivan Midar hitting it really hard. He's attacked him. He's not waiting for the sprint at all. He has kicked hard and accelerated well away from Felix Farissier at the moment. My goodness me, what a turn of speed. Just in the short time that we didn't see them, Sullivan Midar's doing it again, proving that he is one of the very, very best at this short track distance indeed. What an attack, Nicole.
Yeah, Felix is hurting right now, isn't he? We could see it in his face that he just couldn't quite hang on to the pace of Sullivan there.
My goodness me, Sullivan Midar, what an athlete, what a turn of speed. I thought he was working hard anyway, but somewhere in there, on that last little slope, he's just put in a big acceleration, a vicious acceleration as well. For those of you who don't know, he is the son of the 2015 world champion, Josiah Midar, still racing himself, still very competitive himself, as we saw last year at those world championships. And it's quite some genetic kind of scene which runs through that family, being represented by 2 of Josiah Midar's sons here today, one of whom is leading and looking very dominant in this race at the moment as we go down one of these little slopes down into the sort of edge of the stream there. We're following Sullivan Midar here through the trees along the edge of the lake. He's closing in on the finish as well, and at the moment the daylight around him looks like he's going to win this one, Nicole.
It does, doesn't it? You definitely wouldn't be betting against Sullivan Midar right now.
No, indeed. Felix Farissier with that slip at the beginning of the run. I'm not going to put that down to anything, but a little issue early on, and now pressure being laid on by the 21-year-old American out front, who is striding away at the moment. Here's Felix Farissier working hard, digging with everything he's got. The form's gone a little bit ragged, but the legs still keep ticking over as he makes his way back in the direction of the finish on the second and final one of these run laps. Oh, he's looking over his shoulder too. Now that's very telling, Nicole. He's looking to make sure he can salvage this second place, because Federico Spinazzi is coming at them and he looks good too.
It does, and that didn't look like a very big gap there.
No, it did not. This is Sullivan Midar we're following, but definitely there's a sense here that there might be pressure on Felix Farissier from Spinazzi and Kieran McPherson in the blue, who was also closing up the gap. This is Michele Bonacina, still in 6th now, I think, having been overtaken by Arthur Farissier. There goes Arthur Farissier ahead of him. So any moment now, we're actually going to be following Sullivan Midar into the finish as well. And it is going to be only the second finish of a short track World Cup this year, but a return to short track racing for Sullivan Midar after his brilliant win in the final round of the World Cup in Molveno in the Dolomites last year. This is Sebastian Neef. in 7th place now. He is, I think, chasing Arthur Farissier. And Sullivan Midar himself had a little look back. He's turning into the finish as well. Sullivan Midar's going to win here. We thought he might. He's the best short track men's elite athlete in the world right now, and he's proved it. 21 years of age, another year older, another year stronger, the young American putting in. We didn't quite see it on camera, but he must have put in a devastating attack there to drop Felix Farissier, who now runs in for 2nd place. He's been 3rd in the last 3 World Cups. He slipped and fell in pretty dramatic style at the beginning of this run, Felix Farissier, and I'm not sure he's bowing down to Sullivan Midar, but actually performance-wise, he might well do. And look at that. What a fantastic performance for Federico Spinazzi. One of the best performances of recent years for him here on the podium too, just ahead of Kieran McPherson, the Kiwi, in 4th place. Very close at the front end. And look at this. Arthur Farissier, having caught Michele Bonacina, is coming in here for 5th too. Not sure his brother's seen him just yet, but the World Cup leader going into this race, Arthur Farissier, coming in and once again showing how warm it's got out there. After the storm, the temperatures really turned up as well. Michele Bonacina coming in 6th place. It should be 7th next. What a race, Nicole Walters. Wasn't that fantastic?
Yeah, it was. Loads of changes in position, lots of aggressive racing, attacking on the bike and on the run. And yeah, I think Sullivan Midar would have been my pre-race favourite, and yeah, he's taken the win today.
We can't cover absolutely everything that happens around the course, and I'm not going to hide it. We missed the moment where the attack happened. That's just the way it is. You're following everything. And I think by the looks of it, his snappy turn of speed there to get away from Felix Farissier was so quick and so hidden in the woods that we just didn't see it. But the gap was very evident. You couldn't miss it. This is Seb Neef in 7th. But yeah, what an acceleration that must have been. And if anything, not just a kind of physical one that surely Felix Farissier would have looked at and thought, you know what, I can't go near that. I'm not saying I can't speak for him, but I can only presume it must have been so vicious that there's just no reaction to it. This is Porter Midar coming in now, and he'll get the news that his brother's won. So 2 Midars in that top 10 as well. Porter Midar there coming in 8th. Younger brother of our winner, Sullivan Midar. Look at those bikes as well, Nicole. It's going to be an awful lot of changing of brake pads and cleaning all the grit out of them because it's quite sandy round the banks of the lake here.
Yeah, and lots of cleaning of the bike before packing it up to travel on to the next round.
Nice atmospheric shot looking across the stream that flows down into the lake through the middle of the Double Oak Forest in Oak Mountain State Park in Alabama, USA, where we're bringing you these live pictures. We will have interviews coming up shortly as well from our top 3 athletes, as well as then bringing you our conclusion and thinking a little bit ahead as well to upcoming rounds of the XTERRA World Cup. Don't forget, by the way, if you're watching this live around the world and you're thinking, do you know what? I love this. I want me some of this. All you need to do is go to xterraplanet.com, and it's not just for the elites. Find your local XTERRA race, and it might be one of the XTERRA trail races, the Trail World Series, or it could be one of the full distance or short track sprint distance, or XTERRA duathlon as well, if that's your thing. Find it all at xterraplanet.com. And along the way, let us know what you're thinking of doing. Join us on our socials as well. If you just look up XTERRA Planet across the social platforms, you'll find us. Join the XTERRA family and come and have a taste of what it's like to be at one of these great events as well. And if you really fancy it, I hope Nicole and I will see you in Molveno in the Italian Dolomites for the big party at the end of the season in September. We would absolutely love that. I was worried, Nicole, on a number of occasions this morning that the race would either have to be delayed or that we'd be watching pictures through hammering rain or that even the race might have to be put right back. None of that happened. In the end, we had this incredible day in glorious sunshine. In the end, actually quite testing but appropriate conditions for these trails. And the best short track athlete in the men's race came out well on top. There it is. Sullivan Midar doing what he did in Molveno in the Dolomites last year and crushing the competition. Even more dominant than on that occasion, though. Sullivan Midar, the winner, ahead of Felix Forissier, who will move up again in the World Cup standings, having missed the first 2 rounds. And we'll look to refresh that as well. We should now be hearing from 3rd place, Federico Spinazzi, the Italian. I'm sure will be delighted with that.
Federico, congratulations on your 3rd place finish today. Tell us about your race. What was the best part of today?
Thank you so much. Yeah, I had a revenge from yesterday because yesterday I had a flat tire, so this morning I was in a good shape. I saved some energy yesterday on the run, and yeah, on the swim, to be honest, I had not my best feelings, but when I jump on the bike, I see Sullivan in front of me, I say, okay, this is the right wheel to stay on, and yeah, I did a pretty good bike. I stayed there on the Sullivan and Felix wheel, and then I tried to do my best on the run, and came out a 3rd place. That is awesome for me.
What do you think of the tracks here at Oak Mountain State Park in Alabama? What do you think of today?
Yeah, that's an awesome place to race in a triathlon. We have a beautiful lake, nice trails, and yeah, the weather was not so good this weekend, but we did our best, so yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, at the end we had the sun.
Congrats. Done.
Thank you so much.
Cheers.
Apologies for a little bit of sound loss there towards the end, but there's a delighted guy. He had a flat tyre. I wondered what it was actually. He had a flat tyre yesterday, meaning he finished the full distance race in 16th place. Federico Spinazzi, much better today, and a great run as well. He looks like he's improved his running as well from last year. He's always one of the best swimmers too, but definitely enjoying the trails at Oak Mountain today. So next up, we are of course going to be hearing from Felix Forissier. Let's see what his mood is like, having been bettered by Sullivan mid-arm.
Felix, congratulations on your 2nd place here today in the short track. Tell us a little about your race today.
Oh, thank you. My race was pretty difficult. On the bike, Sudi was pretty strong, but it was okay. And on the run, I have a sore pain on my feet, so yeah, it was pretty difficult to follow him. And yes, I think he was just stronger than me today, and yeah.
Well, what was your best part today as far as your race?
The first 10 meters of the swim, I was good.
What do you think of the trails here in Alabama?
The trails in Alabama are pretty difficult, more when it's mud. Yes, but it's pretty nice to race here, and yes, it's a good place.
Absolutely wonderful day today. Any advice for anybody today watching today, and kind of encouragement?
Oh, I don't know. I think just thanks sorry for all the guys following me, and yeah, thank you for all.
Congratulations today, my friend. Go get cleaned up.
What a great champion of our sport. Absolutely caked in mud, stumbling around as well. What was the best part of your race? Around about the first 10 meters of the swim, I think he said there. That's fantastic. Gosh. That looked like it was a hard effort, Nicole. Well, just we'll come back to that in a minute. Because we're going to our next interview, it can only be with our winner, 21-year-old American, Sullivan Midar.
Sullivan, how amazing. You won yesterday. Today you are a World Cup, short track again. Tell us about today's race and how are you feeling?
Yeah, I'm super happy with today's race. Felix was strong yesterday, and I definitely wanted to come back strong, and the intensity was a little bit of a shock, and I was pretty sore this morning, but I just remembered that it was a short race and just pushed every chance I could get.
Did you have any strategies going into today's race, knowing the mud, the trail conditions, anything that you had for race strategy?
Yeah, I think that I just kind of keyed off Felix, to be honest, a little bit, and I wanted to push the bike and kind of break it up if I could, and then on the run I was just sticking right on Felix until I felt strong and tried to make a move.
How does it feel to win on your home soil?
It feels really good, yeah, here in the U.S. Yeah, I couldn't be happier. This is a great place to do it.
Absolutely stoked. I'll give you a high five here. We have a youth tour going on right now. What advice would you give to these upcoming youth? We have, globally we have this youth championship series. What advice would you give them to get them motivated, to get involved racing? I know that you started as a youth, as a young age group, you grew up in it. Give us a little insight on what you would tell these guys moving forward.
Yeah, just from my experience, I would say just having fun was most important to me, and getting out on the mountain bike, enjoying the trails, and just knowing that triathlon is very technical, and so there's always a learning experience. So take each race and learn from it and just have fun.
Right on. Super proud of you, Sully. I've known you forever. It's happy to see you here.
Thank you.
Well done, young man.
Thank you.
Fantastic. What an inspiration. What a great role model as well, Nicole Sullivan-Midar, and his brother, Porter, are as well. And their dad too, Josiah. Lovely family and great XTERRA role models as well for those young youth athletes. There's our World Cup standings. We're rattling through all of this. Alice Patiez is in the golden fleece, should we call it, that golden jersey. She leads ahead of Marta Mendito, who has moved up one place after today, after the short track race here, because Annette Grabmuller, we wish her well in her recovery from yesterday's crash, and those stitches heal up nicely ahead of the next round. She moves back down to third, so effectively where they were when we came into this weekend. Alice Patiez, the absolute dominant force in XTERRA this year at the moment. And here's the men's updated standings after that round 6 of 11. Arthur Farissier still at the top, Michele Bonacina in second, Sebnev in third, Felix Farissier still in fourth. So the change is coming with Kieran McPherson having a great race today, moving up 2 places to jump ahead of Ben Forbes, who had a tough outing in this short track race as well. Nicole, I keep going to go to you and then we bring up something else. What are your reflections, your final reflections on everything today in these 2 races?
Oh, I always love seeing the short track. It's always super fast, super exciting racing, and the athletes always put on a good show for us. And it's just really nice to showcase the fun, I guess, in the sport.
Yeah, there was a real sense of that in what they said, hearing the way that Sullivan-Midar talked about having fun out there on the trails and that being an inspiration to the youth athletes. Questions there being put to our athletes by Steve Andrews, who's the America's Tour manager for XTERRA as well. He mentioned the Youth Tour. Don't forget, you can find all about the Youth Tour and those Youth World Championships again at xterraplanet.com. They're the best way to come through as you're learning the ropes as an XTERRA, a youth athlete. So this is our podium being set up, a cold beer on a Sunday morning in Alabama, and it's going to be 21-year-old Sullivan-Midar up there on top step. Great to see Federico Spinazzi getting it right today after a tough day out yesterday with a puncture.
There we go. Boom. Hey, take a swig. There we go.
I think we can call that well earned after a tough weekend of racing. The full distance yesterday, 2 World Cups back to back, and the short track today. Even muddier than yesterday, even worse than yesterday. It's worth saying, Nicole, by the way, not all these athletes will have 2 versions of their race tri-suit. Some will, but some won't, you know, so some might have actually had to wash their specially made tri-suit overnight and get it clean ready for today. Nice problem to have, I guess.
Yes.
There we go. Well, we're going to be leaving the broadcast fairly soon, but before we do, we are going to remind you of the upcoming World Cup rounds, some of which we have live broadcasts for. You'll be able to catch up with everything that happens at all the rounds of the XTERRA World Cup because we produce some fantastic looking highlights packages from each of these rounds. I've been voicing some of those already this year. As the season has gone by, it's been my little way of staying up to date with everything that's happening in the XTERRA World Cup. The next of our live broadcasts, where Nicole and I will be talking you through them, will be in Czechia for the short track racing in August. And there are those upcoming rounds. Of course, today it was Oak Mountain. Next up, Quebec in Canada, where they race on Lac de Lange, of course, for the full distance race there. Then we move on to Prahatice in Czechia for 2 races, full distance on the Saturday, and then we're bringing you live coverage of the short track on the Sunday. Then a new round. It's the European Championships from Zittau in Germany in the middle of August, before we roll on to September, late September, and Molveno for the 3rd time in a row, before we then move back to the World Championships going to the Americas. Nicole, thank you very much for your company once again. It's been my pleasure sharing it with you. Big thank you to Steve Andrews and all the XTERRA team on the ground in Oak Mountain, and also to our media partners Piper Vision and all the many volunteers who have made everything happen today. Thank you everybody for joining us for this live broadcast. Of course, you can watch it back at any time on our XTERRA YouTube channel where you can find highlights of all the races that have happened so far. In the meantime, from me, Jez Cox, and from Nicole Waters, enjoy the whole XTERRA season, and bye-bye.